The total cryptocurrency market has been down quite severely in December 2022. Look at this red candle and look at even this one without Bitcoin and Ethereum even further down. And just almost every single coin that I can choose here is just down and down and down in December 22. You see, it doesn't matter which one I choose, everything is down except one, which is the subject of the video today, and this is none other than XRD Radix, the only monthly green candle I have now on TradingView for crypto. And this is definitely worthwhile, a big video about Radix, what is the potential that it has, the fundamental potential, the tokenomics, good things about XRD, and the price potential when we compare to past layer 1's performance. So guys, welcome back to AR7 Crypto channel once again. Subscribe if you haven't already. And today we're diving deep about another really interesting layer 1 Radix XRD. So guys, first of all, I wanna go into the price action. Why did I get really so interested recently about Radix, and why did I want to make this video? So one thing, as we've already mentioned, the only monthly green candle in crypto among the very few that has a monthly green candle. Another really interesting, even more interesting, is actually the weekly candles that it recently had. Okay, and why am I interested, guys? Check the next thing out, which is really important for Radix XRD. So look, the last time we've had relatively high volume, and this is on Bitfinex, by the way, the most active exchange for Radix, where we can buy Radix right now, which is another opportunity we'll discuss later in the video. But you see, the last time we've had this high of a volume, okay, this was actually at the very peaks when it just rocketed from 12 cents to the peaks of 60 something cents. Okay, and this was the last time we've had this volume. But now look actually at this volume here, which was very close to this, and then even a higher weekly volume that possibly may have created a bottom here, at least a temporary or maybe the absolute bottom for XRD Radix. Why is this interesting? Because guys, now the prices are approximately 3 cents, okay, and we have the same weekly volume that we've had at 60 cents. It's insane. It doesn't really happen for most cryptocurrencies, and once you see a signal like that, that's a major signal, at least to learn, to understand what's going on. How do you have a cryptocurrencies that literally have more people buy it at 3 cents instead of 60 cents? That's insane. So that's another really nice price action technical signal that we've recently had with XRD Radix. But guys, now let's actually go into a little bit more fundamentals. Why am I really interested in this layer 1 for the next bull run? So for that, I want to go to their website, and over here I want to really focus on one of the few things that are really exciting me in a big way, okay, about Radix. And one of the main ones is really this, guy: smart accounts, no more seed phrases. Okay, this is super interesting, and Ivan on Tech also summarized it in a really interesting way. Tesla created a full stack experience building cars and charging station to maximize the user experience. Radix is building something similar in the DeFi blockchain world, okay? Excuse me, a full stack experience building the consensus for the blockchain. The dev experience, also easy for the developers to keep building this big ecosystem, and wallet to maximize the user experience. And why I think it's really significant, because guys, even right now, still in 2022, 2023, it's still difficult to really use crypto, you know what I mean? If for a regular grandma, you know, for new users, you really have to learn a lot, and you have to be very diligent, you know, to not, when you type a new wallet, you know, if you just miss one little letter, you can lose the whole transfer that you're making. So this is really important, and I think we won't really have any massive adoption until that gets fixed, and you know, people can safely send funds without really worrying, oh my god, did I lose the transfer or what happened? And the same with the seed phrases, you know what I mean, to make sure that you really have your wallet. So they want to really eliminate the seed phrases for the end user, and that is really, in my personal opinion, that is really massive potential, especially for DeFi, and to really have many people to really not be afraid of this ecosystem. So that was a good summary fundamentally why Radix could be really interesting. If they will be one of the main chains specifically for DeFi, I think Radix can easily go to much higher rankings and valuations than it currently has. And now, speaking of the valuation that it currently has, that's the next really interesting segue for me in the video. Guys, so as we've mentioned, this is a layer 1 blockchain that is specialized for DeFi. And let me show you something. This was the ICO price for Radix in late 2020, okay? And they've raised this amount to be able to develop what they want. So why that is super interesting, guys, this is a price that is literally higher than the current price. Right now we're at 3.4, and this was actually 3.9 at the ICO. That is super insane and super interesting, because literally right now anyone who buys XRD in this moment can get it for a lower price than the ICO price. And this is like, you know what I mean, this opportunity only arrived here in late November. Before that, the price was always higher than the ICO price. So right now we literally can get Radix for less than that. That being said, that is pretty good, but as you guys know, I really like to check the tokenomics too, because okay, the ICO price and the price is really nice, but what does it really mean for the circulating supply? So the good thing, guys, is after really researching the tokenomics of Radix, this circulating supply appears to be correct. And summing up briefly about the tokenomics, why the tokenomics look fantastic for me when it comes to Radix, you'll understand it really soon. But guys, as you know, I also follow gaming coins and other coins, and still so many different cryptocurrencies, which still could be a really nice opportunity in the world of crypto. They still have just so many more tokens to be unlocked. Or in the case of Solana, for example, they already have a good amount of tokens unlocked, but 13% of their supply is still held by Alameda or FTX. So that is still gonna be a really, really major red flag always for Solana. But Radix has none of these issues, okay? So they did their token sale, okay, in late 2020. And I'm gonna link in the description below, really their tokenomics, okay? This is the PDF of their tokenomics. And this was in the very beginning, okay? And basically, they did some really interesting mechanism. And what is really important for the video to understand on the macro level is that once we reached 43 cents, and we've stayed at 43 cents for a decent amount of time, which has happened in November 2021, all of these tokens unlocked, okay, 4.2 billion tokens. And then this is a good chart that will, pie chart that will really explain everything else. So basically, guys, from here until here, most or all of these tokens are really, I would say all of these tokens are really out in the circulating supply already. So this part over here, okay, these tokens are the 10 billion circulating supply that we already have. And then the 10% that you saw for the stable coin reserve, this is actually these 2 billion that will stay, this is gonna be funds by the of the team, and I'm assuming they will not be dumping these tokens, most likely not, definitely not in bear markets. So this is the 2 billion that is the stable coin reserve over here. And then, guys, this, all of this part over here, 50% network emission, is gonna be tokens that are gonna be emitted over 40 years, guys, or so, okay? They're gonna emit, as you can see, would be reached 40 years from the release of the Radix mainnet, and every year approximately 300 million Radix tokens are gonna be released. So all of that, what all of that means is, because we already reached the prices of 43 cents in the mechanism that Radix created, we already have 10 billion tokens. And as you can see, once it reached this valuation, it kind of lost its valuation quite quickly because all of these tokens were released, right? So we already have circulating supply of 10 billion. Then the other 2 billion is the stablecoin reserve. And then the rest of the half, approximately, of the tokens that are left, they are just going to be emitted over 300 million. So when it comes to new unlocking tokens, we don't have this problem for Radix XRD. Okay, so now if we add this to the fact that it was the tokens were bought so heavily here at 3 cents once again. Again, possibly, we don't know, possibly it's a bottom. Still, there is a bear market in the overall crypto market, so it can still go further down from here. But still, the valuation is really, really, in my opinion, quite interesting at this point in time as I'm making this video. So that was the tokenomics. Okay, so tokenomics, fantastic, absolute green, 100% sign for me when it comes to the tokenomics of Radix. Fundamentals, as we said, is also really, really interesting to have a specialized layer 1 for DeFi. Okay, now guys, I really want to go to the most interesting and juicy part of the video, which is the possible price predictions for Radix XRD, and also we'll combine it with the DeFi, general DeFi total value locked. And especially if they really go for, if they go to become really the major chain for DeFi, or at least among them, what could it mean for Radix XRD and how many multiples can Radix XRD do? So for that, guys, first I'm gonna compare Radix XRD to actually 3 interesting coins, okay? And of course also to XRD itself. So first of all, the excuse me, the market cap, okay, at the peaks for XRD was $4 billion before they really had any major adoption, which they still don't have. So by the next bull run, if they just literally have some decent adoption or even more, you know, like a 4 billion market cap valuation, which is, and right now we're at 348, right? So basically getting to 40 something cents again, 50 cents. So like anything more than a 10x from here looks extremely easy for Radix XRD. That is really nice initial sign. Now let's continue again comparing to the to 3 interesting coins that I want to compare. So coin number 1 is gonna be Cardano. Okay, that's kind of the relatively most degen one, but I still want to compare it because basically this was the layer 1 that really had reached the highest valuation from coins that are not Ethereum and also not BNB, because even though BNB is on the BSC network, it is still a unique coin, that because they also have the largest exchange in the world. So, you know, let's just say any layer 1s that are not Ethereum and BNB, they're in a category of their own. So Cardano really reached the highest valuation between these. The interesting thing, guys, is that Cardano never really had any major adoption actually, and all of that was reached mostly thanks to the community that it had. And actually this peak was a little bit before actually the launch of smart contracts on Cardano. But anyway, they reached $90 billion of valuation. So we will just know that it is possible with a really strong, really strong community, that right now Radix doesn't have a community like Cardano, but it's possible they will have. We just want to show that we're still so early that actually the layer 1 that had the highest valuation, they actually didn't really have much adoption really, but they still reached the highest valuation, again, except Ethereum and BNB. So anyway, they were able, okay, that was possible. They were able to reach $90 billion of valuation, and that will be, for Radix, that will be more than a 200x from the current valuation, okay? But that being said, this is my like sort of least likely price prediction, because again, like reaching a having a community like Cardano is pretty kind of unique and unusual, so I wouldn't say it's very likely that Radix will out of nowhere have like a really thriving community like Cardano has. But Cardano is still a layer 1 that reached these valuations, so that's why we're comparing to Cardano. So that's number 1. The next coin that I'm gonna compare it to at its peak is gonna be Solana, and then we're gonna have the third coin. So Solana reached a little bit less than Cardano, which was 75 billion. Now the interesting thing with Solana is, you know, it was a very interesting coin. So basically they reached this valuation thanks to real adoption. Okay, so they reached it thanks to, let's say, the second biggest adoption for NFT after Ethereum, and also a quite high adoption for DeFi. So they had both DeFi and NFT in a really thriving ecosystem and a lot of adoption. And also, but in addition, we've also had the FTX kind of shenanigans, and we don't know how much did they really inflate the price of Solana, but that was definitely part of that. In any case, Solana reached 75 billion valuation. They never really the primary player in the DeFi sphere, but their DeFi was still like in the top 5, top 6 chains that had the highest DeFi activity. So Solana reached 75 billion, and 75 billion market cap from the 348 million that Radix has right now is approximately a 200x. Now again, it's not like Cardano in the sense of the community, but it's still pretty interesting because their DeFi wasn't like top notch. They were never number one in DeFi or number one in NFT, but they were number 2 in NFT, and they were like number 4 or 5 in DeFi. And again, the FTX kind of shenanigans as well. But this is one of the largest layer ones, okay? This was one of the layer ones that had reached the highest valuation, the second really highest valuation after Cardano. Layer 1 smart contract. Now the last coin for today is gonna be Avalanche, guys. When it comes to comparing to Radix, and why Avalanche is a good comparison for Radix, because actually the heights of Avalanche, okay, were mainly thanks to actually mostly DeFi activity, okay? If we go really to Avalanche, you can see that their total value locked was 12 billion or so, and they never really had, like, their NFT ecosystem wasn't very big. And I guess maybe the closest non-DeFi thing on their chain that was relatively big and may have drawn some new users was that game, was that like sea animals game that they've had, Krabada or something like that. But generally DeFi was really the main thing was really the main thing that really drove their price up. And the valuation that Avalanche had reached was let's go to the market cap. It reached actually 30 billion or so, or really close, something really close to 30 billion. Okay, that's for a coin that didn't have much success with NFT like Solana, and didn't have like a super thriving community like Cardano, but they did have a lot of success with the DeFi. Okay, so they reached, as we said, 30 billion, which is just under 100x from here for Radix, which is really, in my opinion, the really most interesting comparison. Because as we mentioned, Avalanche was mostly the most success of Avalanche market cap was thanks to their DeFi success, which was still not really, you know what I mean? They were not really like the main player in DeFi, and not really number 2 any time. And if Radix will be able to really be among the top 2, top 3 players for DeFi in crypto, they can really have much better valuations than Avalanche. But I think this is, in my personal opinion, this is really the best benchmark for Radix. Okay, so that being said, 30 billion I would say is not an absolutely conservative, but definitely not a degen price prediction. So I would say for Radix from here, comparing to Avalanche's heights, I think reaching approximately 30 billion, just under 100x, is quite a decent prediction for Radix XRD. But now, guys, I'm interested going into the biggest potential that Radix XRD has, and the potential there, guys, I really think it's much higher than 100x, but this would depend really on the adoption of Radix, and will it really succeed as a protocol in a huge way. Okay, so the last thing, guys, that I really want to show you really is relevant to the general, like to the DeFi. Okay, so so again, as we guys remember, Radix want to become one of the main protocols for DeFi being specialized layer 1 for DeFi. And this is the reason why we need to look on the DeFi adoption that we've had. And I'd like to compare it actually to the total blockchain adoption that we've had. Okay, for that I'm gonna go back to the monthly here, and soon you'll understand why again, in the most optimistic scenario, Radix can have like much more crazier valuations from here. And I really love that their tokenomics is already kind of sorted, you know what I mean, when it comes to comparing to other chains. So let's go really to DeFi, guys. I want to show you something really crazy. Some people kind of forget, you know, because we're in a bear market, and the total value locked at the peaks was like 180 billion, and now it's 38 billion. some people are thinking, especially with all the CeFi FUD that we've had, you know, with the Celsius network, Voyager, and all of that, people kind of forget that DeFi is still operating almost flawlessly. And I'm saying almost because there are still hacks and newer protocols are being hacked, but really the major big protocols are absolutely working. You know, Uniswap, PancakeSwap, Aave, Curve are working, absolute Compound, Finance too, are working like absolutely flawlessly, absolutely fantastic, and they're already working for more than 2 years. So DeFi is really here to stay in a huge way. But I just want to show you guys how actually DeFi was adopted like much quicker than Bitcoin, than like the general crypto market, and why that is absolutely insane, and why any blockchains, whether it's Radix or not, any blockchains that will have thriving and successful DeFi stuff going on their chain, I think these blockchains are gonna absolutely kill it. Okay, so let me just show you something. So in 2014, okay, remember that Bitcoin was created in 2009. Okay, so in 2014 it was already 5 years old. Okay, so as you guys remember here, the current valuation is 38 billion, 38 billion total value locked in DeFi. Now, when was the time that the total crypto market cap was at this valuation? This has happened, guys, in June 2017, actually in the middle of the 2017 bull run. That was actually 53, so you can see it was really in this kind of big candle here, green candle in May 2017. Okay, so it happened approximately here. This is where the total crypto market cap had a valuation of 38 billion. And when did it have 178, which was the peaks of the DeFi value locked? That was like a little bit closer here to the peak of January 2018, but it was just before, like here in September or so. That was at 100 and something billion valuations, and then in the bear market it fell to like 100 billion. Okay, why am I telling you all of this, guys? Is because, as you guys know, Bitcoin, okay, Bitcoin is actually the best performing asset of all time in the history of mankind. Okay, like literally in 2010 it was worth like under 10 cents. Okay, and now it's $16,000. Nothing in the history of the world ever had such crazy adoption rates as Bitcoin. Not even Amazon, not Google, not anything. Okay, but that being said, as we've mentioned, the total, like Bitcoin and the total crypto, only reached this valuation by 2017. Once, excuse me, once Bitcoin existed from 2009. So it took 8 years to reach this amount of money to be in the ecosystem. But for DeFi, how many years did we need to reach these amounts of money? Well, DeFi started in very late 2018. Now it's late 2022. And it took us literally 4 years, or I mean even 3 years, but we've had a bull run. So now we may be a little less overvalued. So 4 years it took us, like literally 4 years less than for the total crypto market cap that was already like the best performing asset of all time. So that's absolutely insane. And that being said, guys, 38 billion is still like absolutely nothing. And now let me show you guys in the Radix actually DeFi white paper here. Look at this. Like DeFi of today is less than 0.05% of the size of the 400 trillion total value in global finance. That's like absolutely insane. So I mean, like 38 billion is still absolutely nothing, right? I mean, obviously, it would be degenerate to think that all of the 400 trillion will just move to DeFi out of the traditional finance. Obviously not. And even if we'll have anything like that, it will take probably decades, and it will probably be just an integration of the two, right? Just of the existing financial system with the DeFi ecosystem, which would then probably have a lot of regulations and stuff like that. But that being said, guys, like if we'll have good, proper regulations, and DeFi will still be adopted thanks to it being global and super fast and inclusive, unlike, unfortunately, the global finance is really not inclusive and really doesn't really benefit the developing world, which is most of the world's population, really. So, in the most optimistic scenario that I can personally see, where DeFi merges with the global finance, with KYC and stuff like that, all of this amount can kind of become merged, you know, or at least let's say DeFi can be maybe 5% of that, you know. So 5% of that, so 1% is 4 trillion, 5% will be 20 trillion. So it's literally almost 1,000x in the TVL that we have right now. It's absolutely crazy. Like, I'm not talking right now about the next, I have no clue if it will really happen by the next really crypto bull run, by the next halvings of Bitcoin in 2024, 2025. I'm really talking about really the decades, okay, decades long. And again, if anybody really in the world really thinks that DeFi is dying, like, that's absolutely, like, that's nonsense. Like, look where we've been in 2018, 2019, even early 2022. Like, literally look for how long the TVL was much less than $1 billion, you know, and only here finally in June 2020 it was $1 billion. So yeah, we did have a major bubble, major bull market, now a major correction, but we're still like in the dozens of billions. Like, we still have tremendously more money in the DeFi ecosystem than when it started, you know, and that's exactly how Bitcoin also looked in its early days. So DeFi is here to stay in a huge way, and it's just going to be really interesting to really see how it will merge with the global finance world. But that being said, DeFi still has like absolutely crazy potential. Like, I mean, I think reaching $1 trillion is almost a no-brainer, and probably dozens of trillions also. To me personally, again, many decades ahead doesn't sound very crazy. So all of that, guys, being said, what about Radix? If Radix XRD will be among the main chains, and again, we're talking now like decades from now, right? If Radix XRD will be the like #1 chain or among the main layer 1 chains with most DeFi value locked, think about it. So if you're gonna have literally like $1 trillion, $2 trillion value locked in the Radix XRD chain, the valuations are gonna be absolutely insane, because I mean, it's going to be like more than the total crypto market cap right now. So, you know, $1 trillion of market cap for XRD, I don't even know how, like, it's more than 1,000x from here. But again, guys, all of that being said, like, we're dreaming here, right? This is like decades ahead. Will XRD Radix really be the main DeFi hub? Will all the regulation be happening? You know, there's many ifs here, right? So I just wanna, anybody who's listening at this part of the video here, who reached me at the end of the video, subscribe. That's an absolutely best time to do so. But just, it's really important for me to say, it's not like my base case scenario that Radix XRD is gonna be 1 trillion market cap and that it's gonna do more than 1,000x or so. But I mean, it is a possibility. So that's why this opportunity right now with the Radix XRD at 3-4 cents, when the ICO was literally 3.9, that's why this opportunity is really interesting to me. But non-financial advice, guys. Lastly, I will say, in my personal strategy, I still do not buy it, because like almost no crypto really have any significant bull runs before really Bitcoin and Ethereum are back showing some decent strength. Okay, so that's why I'm really not FOMOing at all, and generally I personally have no problem DCAing here at 6 cents. Currently I'm DCAing only Bitcoin, but again, this coin is definitely among the coins that are really the most interesting for me for the next bull run, and I mean even possibly beyond. So guys, that was another video about Radix XRD, another Sunday video. So I'm here every single Sunday doing really interesting videos about the altcoins that I find really the most interesting and how they perform now in the bear market. And as you saw, Radix XRD was one today. So guys, thank you very much for joining me here on Sunday once again. See you next Sunday. Have a fantastic weekend and a fantastic week ahead, and cheers.